Hello and welcome to Swinging from the Hip. And Arun's in the background going, Paul, you said I was hosting today. Absolutely I did, but hey, you know what? I'm just so used to doing this kind of stuff that I've just jumped straight in. Don't forget, folks, that we come to you Monday 8 p.m.
Oh,
every single week. See, I can't even. I should like to do it because I'm useless. All this practice, I always get it wrong. But what we're going to talk about this evening, obviously, we've got the New Zealand-Pakistan test, the Australian-India test, and also the South African-Sri Lankan test matches going on. So there's 3 test matches to talk about. Also, we've had 2 rounds of the Super Smash over the last couple of days. So we'll have a look in on that one there as well. The Wellington in particular going strong in the first couple of games. So yes, and I'll bring him in now. Good evening, Arun. How are you doing?
good evening, and compliments of the festive season to you all out there in the interweb land, and to you, Paul, as well.
So, are you ready?
Everyone's enjoyed a good Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We won't get into that. We won't get into that. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear me. So yeah, look, let's talk about a game that we've both seen a bit of, and start off with Australia versus India.
Yeah, look, obviously we all know what happened in the first test, and then we've started off on with the second test here in Aussie, in Melbourne, in front of a capacity crowd, which are allowed under our modern conditions, which is about 30,000, is it? So, yeah, it's a little bit unusual because the MCG Boxing Day Test match, you get ready for the first ball, you log yourself down, sit yourself down, get your beer ready, got your snacks out next to you, and it's looking out for a crowd of about, 80, 90,000 people. But, whoa, nope, not there. But, hey, cut that out. None of that stuff. Thank you very much.
But there's still a lot better off than a lot of countries around the world over there in Australia.
Absolutely.
Getting what is it, about a third full or something like that? It's but yeah, a decent number really.
Oh yeah, look, hey, we can't complain. It is what it is, and we move on from that. So yeah, look, was it we had now I was just thinking, well, brain's gone blank. India sent into bat in the.
No, Australia batted first.
Sorry, yeah, that's right. Australia batted first, and yeah, look, got bowled out for, was it 191?
195.
Oh, I was close.
All but bowled out for 195. Top score, the person whose name I cannot say. There are just far too many letters in there for me as a dyslexic person to try and read it. But
is it Manus Labuschagne?
Manus Labuschagne, that's the one. With top score with 48 off 132 balls. Really not when you recognise in this day and age of 2020 stuff. That was a real slow innings. But even so,
yeah,
the only guy to really stick around.
Yeah, which is a contrast from where the first test ended. Obviously, where we had Australia in the back and struggling against quite a few changes made by India for the team. Obviously, Captain Kohli gone back home for paternity leave, injury to Mohammad Shami, the number 2 bowler with a broken arm. So we had a debutant young fella called Siraj, and then a few other changes also made due to form in that young debut for young Shubham Gill, and then we had Ravi Jadeja coming in, and yeah, so a few changes there. But look, I don't think it was the pitch didn't seem that difficult to bat on.
Talking of pitches, and they said with that spinner involved, let's bring our own spinner in. Tarun, how are you doing?
Oh,
and it seems like you can't hear it. Okay, well, we'll wait till Tarun can actually hear us, but we'll keep going. Yeah, as you say, missing their second number 2 bowler, bringing it in Jadeja late there. He got the final wicket, but Jasprit Bumrah with that four wickets in the first innings really led the way for the bowlers.
Yeah, absolutely. Jasprit Bumrah showing the class bowler that he is, providing the Aussies with lots of difficulties. And even what I saw from the new guy, Siraj, he seemed to bowl really well, coming in on his debut, and he seemed to be really good there. That, proving difficult for the Aussies to get away. Then obviously we had the off spin of Ashwin. And sorry, I always have to giggle when I say that. Because Ashwin, as we know, Ashwin's got a lot of spin, but
not on the pitch. And we also have Taz.
A lot of spin, but not on the pitch. Yeah. So, look, it's like we're getting a full house in here, Paul. So we're getting our experts, so people don't have to listen to us babble on.
Yeah, so Taz, with those changes for India, what do you think? Do you think they have chances of going to be they've got some trouble going into this test, or they performed as you thought they might do?
I guess like with the opener, Gill is considered a good batsman on the back foot, so he can play horizontal bat shots, and he's quite fearless. So I thought that was a very good selection there. Always sort of not too sure if India playing 2 spinners, but to be fair, both their spinners have got between them probably got half a dozen test centuries, So I personally think it's good playing Jadeja, because what he offers, and this time of the summer where you kind of the test match will go to the 5th day, and that's when you probably need him. So I think it's personally, I was Gill. I really wanted him to play. From what I've seen over the years, under-19 World Cup, he was here, and because he wasn't like a sort of a big name 3 years ago, but Prithvi Shaw was, So I think in that contest, sort of Gill got his chance quite late, but he's done okay first innings.
So does Asia more of an all-rounder, actually picking up, as you say, a half century in this one, and also a couple of wickets?
Yes, and look, he's got 2 or maybe 3 triple hundreds in first-class cricket as a batsman. So obviously he's more than handy as a batsman. The only thing is, like, when they go out of subcontinent, that's where sort of you don't know how they'll bat. But again, I think most like Jadeja as well, quite flamboyant and plays all the shots. And in Australia, you need a batsman like that, who can play shots, especially where he's batting. So, I don't know what Tarun thinks, but I thought that was a good inclusion.
Yeah, I think we might be struggling with Tarun. Not sure he can hear us. Oh, he can hear us.
I can.
Oh, we can hear you too. That's good. There we go.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I can now.
Awesome.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. So we're just having a quick chat about the India and Australia test match going on at the moment. We thought we'd start off there. Obviously, I've just walked into the show with 1 over remaining in the day's play for today, and obviously India are in a very strong position. We've covered off the Aussie first innings, 195. Bumrah doing his thing and showing the class he is, and then Ashwin obviously there as well, and the Aussies just not being able to cope with the with Bumrah or Ashwin, it seemed, in the first innings.
No, it's they did pretty well though. Like, if you look at the 3 innings, Indian bowling is probably stood up, and it's probably barring that 45 minutes or 1 hour, whatever that was, India's probably dominated the rest of the 3.5 days of cricket that's been played. So there's no surprises there, but quite a quite a ballsy move to pick Jadeja as an all-rounder, knowing Kohli was gone. So you got to give credit to Rahane and the team management, I think, to actually go with not a bit part cricketer, but a all-rounder and to free up some of your batting, having been bowled out for 36, is quite brave and shows how much confidence they probably have in their own ability, and accept that it was just a one-off bad 45 to an hour, So now it's good. It was good to see them, and then them to actually score runs as well.
Yeah, it's good to see the captain Rahane step up and score a century. I saw him batting along with Jadeja, and they had a pretty good partnership going. And obviously, at the start with Shubman Gill coming in, and he looked pretty good, for the 40 odd that he scored as well. Didn't look out of place, did he?
What do you reckon, Taz?
Well, we were talking about him before, and I said, well, he's a good batsman off the back foot.
Yeah,
he plays horizontal bat shots, I think, fearlessly. And in Australia, you probably need that. If you can't put away those, then you're not going to score any runs, So, but I think I was talking earlier as well that he wasn't like a child prodigy, Prithvi Shaw. So he got his chance. He earned it, for last 2-3 years, and just fearless. And I think it's a good that he got to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one innings, and it's not. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and the way I see it with him is, I just wonder. I wasn't convinced that he gets behind the ball enough. He was far too alongside it, and I reckon in New Zealand, England, he'll just get nicked off. Someone like Bolt and Saudi will nick him off. He doesn't actually get behind the ball. He gets alongside the ball quite a bit. For an opener, I'm not sure. That's the only. I mean, I really liked the way he batted. He looked more assured and looked a lot. Again, pretty sure there was one innings he faced a total of 6 balls or whatever. It's nothing to compare to, but he just looked much more composed than Shaw. But as a regular opener in the long run, overseas, I'm not sure if he's the man. Australia, yes, but I'm not sure England and New Zealand if he can do that.
It's funny. I spent some time with Ijaz Ahmed a couple of days ago in Hamilton, just having a chat, and he was watching him bat, and he said he was playing the spinner or against the spinner, and he said, well, for an Indian, he doesn't have a great technique to play spin, but I guess and the way he was batting, he said you have to bat ahead of the pad, to survive that short leg and all that stuff, and he said for an Indian, he doesn't look like he's got a great technique, but he looked quite comfortable, so I guess, as you said, he kind of maybe just plays with confidence and plays his shots,
Yeah. I mean, to play your shots, you have to kind of get alongside it to get your hands through it, and maybe that's his way. That's his scoring areas, possibly. The guy who impressed me the most, 100%. I was telling this to my dad this morning, maybe because he's from Hyderabad as well, but he looked so polished and composed with Vihari. Till he got out, the bat was so straight, so solid, so compact. That's what you want. He was like a poor man's Lakshman till he got out. And that same over, the way he was toying for 3 balls with Nathan Lyon, and you hear somebody in the commentary box go, that's how old school Indians play spin. Traditional Indian, that's how real Indian batters play spin. He was sweeping, he was using his feet, he's making you go away, and then he was cutting till he had that little rush of blood. And I thought he looked the best. And as a fan, you want to see an opener look like that. And I know 2 years ago he opened, right? For India, and he soaked up a lot of balls, allowed Pujara to get in a little later, and all that happened. You almost need that again. But I really enjoyed watching him for those 50-odd balls.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good. So, obviously, India totaled 326, I think, in their first innings, got bowled out, and then we've got Australia in their second innings. I think I'm not sure what they ended up with, but it's 122 for 6. So they're just trailing, I think, maybe by 3 runs or so.
Yeah.
Not many wickets in hand and plenty of time left. So obviously a great chance for India to ram home the advantage tomorrow, and maybe wrap this test up, and bring a little bit of confidence and that back into the team going into the next test, wherever that is. So I think, the wickets seem to be shared around today, though. Ashwin seems, from what I saw, just the last few bits and bobs, pretty. Yeah, it looks like it could be very dangerous, and obviously the bounce is just maybe varying a little bit, as you'd expect as the pitch wears, and that. So, yeah,
So,
have you guys been able to catch up with anything today?
Taz, you're saying that it's going to go into 5 days. Therefore, you have your 2 spinners. You're standing by that comment you made earlier?
The thing is, generally, Melbourne is a sort of, you get 5 days out of a Boxing Day test match in Australia. I mean, Melbourne is generally, after day one, it's a decent batting track. So I guess whatever they did, but they kind of took the punt with 2 spinners. And but I mean, as I said earlier, both can bat. I think Ashwin's got a couple of test hundreds, if maybe more than 2, and same with Jadeja. So I guess although they've played 2 spinners, but both are capable batsmen. I mean, with Jadeja,
between the two of them, you'd expect them to average 40 with the bat.
Probably more.
Between the 2 of them, as one batter, so they'd equate to one good batter, one good test batter, I think.
Yeah.
Or one and a bit.
Yeah. So, are there demons in this pitch? I mean, is this not a traditional pitch, or is it just that the Australians just aren't knuckling down and aren't batting properly?
I think it just shows the quality of bowling from both sides.
That's what I was going to say. The bowlers in both teams have really stood out, haven't they?
Yeah, and you could ask, I don't know, have they trained enough with this biosecure bubbles, and they haven't hit a lot of balls? They've just been coming out of an IPL to here. So there are other variables that come into play that may be dropping the standard of batsmanship. That looks like it's affected fielding because they probably just don't have the volume. Yeah. You're seeing catches dropped a lot.
Yeah. Australia dropped, was it about 4 or 5 catches yesterday, which is just, for them, that's, and not some of them weren't that difficult from what I hear. I didn't see them, unfortunately, but that's just way below their standard, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you reckon, Tesla? What do you think's what's standing out because for the low scores and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's obviously low scores got to do with batting as well as bowling. Yeah. So you can say that the bowlers are accurate, but the batting and their temperaments, because all of a sudden when you're playing shorter formats, you bat on ball. You know, and that's sort of you want to feel the ball on the bat, whereas obviously Test cricket is completely opposite. So keeping that in mind, I think a lot of T20 cricket and lack of longer format probably doesn't help. I mean, I've seen teams on difficult tracks, more difficult tracks, and scoring more runs because you have to survive to, obviously go big. But I think it's, as you said, Vihari faced but I think 81 balls. So there are batsmen who are still who can still bat long. But if you're playing a lot of T20s, your recent muscle memory is about bat on ball, and just that doesn't help, I think.
It's just an interesting question, guys, from Simon Hughes in the chat room asking: is it a benefit to New Zealand if India win, or would it be better for Australia to beat India for New Zealand for the Test, for the Test Championship? We got any answers to that?
My take is Australia, I think.
Yeah,
I think Australia.
I haven't studied the stats. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't sorry, Simon, I haven't studied the stats well enough to see exactly what the breakdown is. Hey, but that probably gives us a chance to move along and talk about obviously what we're locally here, where we've had the first test between Pakistan and New Zealand obviously get underway, and man, we're seeing we're seeing a really good test match, aren't we? It's hard. Well, the 2 words stand for themselves, isn't it? Test match, and we're finally seeing it, aren't we?
Yeah, how New Zealand batted day one was just batted time, and just again, like, it was just a brief chat with Ijaz Ahmed, like Pakistan batting coach, and he was just saying same thing, that they kind of like leave the pitches slightly underprepared, or not underprepared, but there's a bit of spongy bounce early on, and New Zealand batsmen can play late and sort of, they know how to bat on it. So I think, like, keeping that in mind, New Zealand, with the slow scoring rate, like run per over was pretty around 2 most of, like, 2/3 of the day, but they kind of batted time, and then second day they kind of saw the sort of, their hard work paid off with the amount of runs they scored. I don't think Pakistan bowled badly. They probably could have been better, but New Zealand just batted so well, and obviously a few drop catches in between. So
yeah, look, I think obviously for New Zealand, the 2 normal candidates stood up with the bat. The old veteran, shall we say, Roscoe Taylor, and then the gun in the team, Kane Williamson, doing what he does best, and another Test century under his belt, number 23, and good partnerships with Taylor, and then with Nichols, who's showing a bit of form. He came out, and they put together a good partnership there again, and a few little partnerships right through the batting order, which allowed them to get over that 400 mark in the first innings. Again, as I think I agree with you, I don't think Pakistan bowled that badly. In fact, they look more impressive to me than the West Indies bowling attack did.
That's not hard, though.
yeah. Which is, I mean, I personally, I expected more from the West Indies attack when they were here.
Yeah.
But hey, but yeah, I think it just shows how good this Pakistani attack is, and they're young guys as well, aren't they?
at least one or two of them are Naseem Shah and Shaheen Shah Afridi.
Look, I mean, Shaheen Shah Afridi, he bowled 36 overs. I don't know how he's going to back that up now when they have to bowl again, because they've obviously avoided the follow-on. He's going to have to bowl that. He's going to be looking at possibly 50 overs minimum for the game. That's going to be quite hard on the body. So you've got to wonder if he's going to play the next test. But on their bowling attack, you have them 2 down for 13. And we talked about this on the show about 6 months ago, I think, when Pakistan were playing previously. Naseem Shah is not worth it, man. He's cost Pakistan this test match, in my opinion. You're the first change bowler. The opening pair have got them, picked them 2 for 13. Sohail Khan would have strung together a lot more consistent balls in the right area on that wicket. All that was needed then. I don't think Naseem Shah was the right pick. There's an obsession with him, which is fine. I hope it pays off, but nah, not a good selection pick, Tez.
Yeah, look, I mean, I
guess some stats for that: 3 wides and 5 no balls. No one else bowled more than 1 wide or 1 no ball. I mean, that's just poor, isn't it? At this level?
Yes, yeah, and I went to Whangarei as well to watch the 4-day game against New Zealand, and he's not looking as fit as he was when he toured Australia last year, or like what we have seen in past. So I don't know if it's lack of cricket over the last few months, or just being unfit, or not unfit, but just not being test match fit, because there's your fitness, but there's your test match fitness where you got to be up for it. And I agree with Taryn. Like, obviously they had option of playing Sohail Khan as well, who is like a workhorse. Like, he's not like express, but I mean, Naseem Shah was bowling around 135 Ks anyway, so that's a similar pace. But the Sohail Khan is like, he bowls his heart out and is more experienced, more accurate. So I think where we obviously gave away after getting them 2 down early. But I mean, between Kane and Ross Taylor, I mean, they batted 75 overs.
Yeah.
Like,
look at Naseem Shah.
It doesn't matter who you are, but if you're bowling like 75 overs to those 2, you don't have much luck, in the test match, because I mean, Ross Taylor is a free scoring batsman, but that was probably one of his slowest innings. The conditions and obviously the situation of the game, but and Kane Williamson just plays it so late that
Isn't that all the more reason though? Like like you're saying, they're two great players. So your window of opportunity is very small. So you
Early on, if
have,
you don't get them early
yeah,
on, you don't have a
your
chance.
window of opportunity is very small, which means your bowlers have to be on the money. Your opening bowlers have given an opening. They've done their part. Your next two have to turn up and play. That's where I think he's let himself down. And then Fahim Ashraf did his job.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And Yasir Shah probably could have come in earlier. Although I
Yes.
know they probably got caught up in the green wicket and stuck with seam. I
Yeah.
reckon, like you look at Ashwin in the test in Melbourne,
Exactly. That's what I
first
was
Yeah,
tune,
thinking.
right?
yeah,
Here you've got to, if it's, Bruce Martin, who played a bit of test cricket for New Zealand and played a lot for Indy, first class veteran, he always used to say, if it seems, it spins.
Yeah.
So you pretty much want to get your spinner into the game early and not chase it after these guys are set. It would have been a different story, Taylor against spin early on.
Early on, yes. Yeah.
I've
yeah.
just pulled up Naseem Shah's stats. As you're saying, he was fitter in Australia and he's probably not as fit now. Even considering his best fitness, he's 7 matches, 16 wickets, and one match he's got 5 for. 7 matches, 16 wickets is not a lot. If you look at Mohammad Abbas, or who's on 20 matches, 80 wickets. It's a big
No, I
difference.
think I agree with you. I mean, I don't think he's a finished product. I mean, obviously they're investing in him, but there's kind of like, you don't want to put your test match at stake, when you
Yeah,
do have
you can't
other options
lose sight of
available.
what's in front of you in trying to
Yeah.
invest in the future. You can
I
invest if
mean,
you got Wasim and Waqar as your
yeah.
other two seamers. You can invest in a young guy.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. I mean, I was talking to the Pakistan A bowling coach, is a friend of mine, now Iftikhar, about an hour ago, and he was saying the same, that the young guys coming to Pakistan team, most of them haven't played more than 10 or 20 first class games. So they kind of don't have that, like back in the day when like Wasim and Waqar, one of them risked, a guy comes in, but he's probably taken 200 first class wickets, So they come
Yeah,
with enough experience or enough bowling volume under their belt.
yeah.
Whereas nowadays, like kind of they're pushing the guys early. I guess like it's probably desperation, or it could be lack of lack of quality pace bowlers coming through, which is strange saying that coming from Pakistan. But I guess there has to be a reason that they're investing in Naseem Shah as much as they are.
How much
So
of that is looking for the silver bullet? You're looking for the magic pill instead of just, having a system. How much is that a bit of a lack of direction, strategic planning as to, hey, look, we can get X amount of years out of so and so in the next 2 years while we build up our our marketability and our brand as a Pakistan cricket team. And under the radar, we've got these boys coming through. We'll build them up, and we're going to transition them over a 2 to 3 year period, looking at the next World Cup and a series here, a series there. How much
Yeah,
is
I
that a
mean,
lack of
yeah, I guess like it's one of it's that, and on top of that, the other thing is like the PSL coming through, and a lot of focus has been on the shorter format, and the
it?
guys are making their names in shorter formats, and then go on to play test cricket sometimes, like on the back of playing good T20 series, or one or two. So I think that probably I was talking to the guy, like I was bowling coach of Pakistan, Iftikhar, and just his thoughts were like that sort of distract a lot of bowlers, because
Mm,
eventually you want to make a living out of it. So I mean, you would rather make a living out of it from a shorter format where you can
mm,
earn more money, less chances of injuries. And so I think the focus has changed a lot, even down to the club cricket, because we used to have 2 day club cricket or day and a half club cricket, but it's all down to shorter formats. A lot of clubs just play T20s. So I
really?
think, yes, it's
wow.
just gone that sort of that route where the PSL is the big show, and just everyone wants to play that. I
Yeah.
mean, which is a shame, but I guess like pros and cons of both. But I mean, you got to have some um, like Mohammad Amir is a good example. Like I mean, he's got the skill, but he didn't have the desire to play Test cricket to look
Mm.
after his body. So it's kind of it's a shame that like obviously T20 cricket is not helping Pakistan sort of at least in Test cricket.
It's I think wouldn't you say a lot of that falls at the feet of the selectors, who we would expect learned people that understand how the games work, etc., and they don't get caught up in the hype of the PSL and the purity of Test cricket, and not everyone can transfer those skills from T20 to Test cricket. Like, yes, there's someone like David Warner did it successfully, but not everyone can do it as successfully.
Yeah, I think selection is a different topic. Oh, Paul.
No, it's a text, but also the question is, we've seen those couple of unofficial tests between Pakistan A and New Zealand A. Now, is that just a COVID thing? They brought a big squad, or is that them actually realizing they've not got enough first class cricket going on at home? So they are trying to give their players more experience that way.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, because if you remember, West Indies brought a bigger squad as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably the thing on the go these days, that that's the only way you will give your A teams to travel, because in past A teams would travel by themselves on tours and stuff.
Yep.
And the second thing is, like, Pakistan A beat New Zealand A in Whangarei in a 4-day game. But 5 of those guys are playing for Test team today, or this Test match. So I think they've got both the squads together. So it's almost like now the A team is carrying the T20 specialists or the shorter format specialists, and the Test team is carrying the. So I think it's instead of bringing a Test team and they just brought everyone together, and some young guys just to experience, and then some guys generally considered for the selection for white ball and Test match.
I think it's just a way for warm-up games, isn't it, and get guys used to conditions, like you say, for the Test matches and that. That's why they start.
Also, if you have injuries, you can't fly people in.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why it's just a COVID backup and everything. So it's a good excuse to bring an A team across. And teams like West Indies and Pakistan, especially, outside of the big 3, nobody has the money to extensively take A tours. I just wonder if it's being subsidized through ICC during this year to allow for bigger squads to be there and make it a bit more purposeful. So the smaller countries are jumping on it and maximizing the opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you look at Pakistan's white ball for like T20 team and Test, I mean, there's a contrast. I mean, hardly, apart from 2-3 players, others are like completely different. So the team which played in Whangarei was potentially Pakistan's Test team, with the exception of Fahim Ashraf, but everyone else played. So I guess, like, keeping that in mind, they have to bring a Test team and a T20 team. So what they've done is just swap the players, and just,
No, actually, they've given them extended games, because now I think Pakistan A is playing T20 games. They played in ND now or something. Yeah,
they're playing Wellington tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then they're playing next week. They're playing in Christchurch, I think, against New Zealand. 2 games. So that's kind of their, because Pakistan played the white ball games first up. So the players, the Pakistan white ball specialists, are playing for Pakistan now. So I think it's a good way of
extended opportunities, and I think it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So let's back to our Test match here anyway. So obviously New Zealand bowled out for 400 odd, and then Pakistan came in. The openers came in with a few tricky overs to survive at the end of the day there, which they just about got through. We just unfortunately lost the 1 wicket right towards the end of the day to 2 meter Kyle, and then this unfortunately I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the first session this morning, where I think they lost another 3 or 5, is it 4 wickets, I think, before lunch. But unfortunately I got dragged out to the wall by the wives and the daughter, but so, and then
I've got to stop you there.
Yeah.
Dragged out to the mall by the wives. How many wives?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just including the daughter in that. I don't have one boss.
Ladies, ladies.
The ladies. But yes, Pakistan sort of bowled out. I think just in the last over of the day today, avoiding the follow on, obviously. But we saw a really good partnership there between Rizwan and Fahim. Is it?
Fahim Ashraf.
That's it. Which brought Pakistan's innings around, and they added plenty of obviously their how can you summarise that sort of first innings from Pakistan and the bowling effort from New Zealand?
It's a strange one because you've got all the runs scored by seventh and eighth in the batting order. You got to say your batsman failed and your bowler and wicketkeeper saved.
There are 6 and 7 under. They had a night watchman there, so they your last one of defence.
Yeah. We had the night watchman from the other night when they lost the first wicket.
Yeah.
So not quite, but still, I mean, there was, a lot of fight shown there by those two guys, and again, another tough day in the field for New Zealand, which they didn't really, have to do against the West Indies. And just towards the end of the day, was there a bit of frustration creeping in? I don't know if you saw that, Taryn and Taz, with Mr. Wagner maybe losing a bit of his cool, or if there's a bit of niggle there, it seemed, in the team with those poor overthrows, or was that just a bit of byplay between the boys?
I'm not sure. Well, he is playing with a broken toe, isn't he? So it's probably a little bit more grumpier than usual.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? Just obviously, you see the dead coolness of the team, led by Captain Cool himself. But even he seemed a little bit angst when that sort of happened, just from the facial expressions that we got in the glimpses there.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
What do you reckon?
I don't know about this incident in particular, but generally, I think Pakistan batted unlike Pakistan. I think they were 80 after 60 overs, or that's not. I know New Zealand bowling is good, but on that surface, it wasn't like it was doing sideways, 80 runs of 60 overs is you just go in your shell, and that probably sort of didn't help, openers, your opener's job is to see off the ball, which is fine, but in the middle overs, obviously Jamieson bowled 13 maidens. He's a decent bowler, but if you're scored, your top 6 score 80 of 60 overs, it's got to be extremely good track, or for bowling, or there has to be some sort of I'm not saying negative, but some sort of Pakistan going in the shell.
They were at one point. They were run a ball. They were run it over. Sorry.
Yeah.
They were 30 of 35 or something off 30 overs.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you don't put away bad balls or half bad balls, you're never going to put away good balls, right? So I think it just helps bowlers to set their lines. If you miss out on a short one, which is there to put away, and you let it go once or twice, the bowler kind of understands maybe it's not the right length for that pace, and just starts bowling better. So I think haven't seen every single ball, but I can assure you that they've missed out on a few boundary options there. Opportunities there, and that's what probably 80 runs of 60 balls. 60 overs. That's not a track. It's a good track, but you can't say that sort of, and it's just when Rizwan and the lefty sort of rotated the strike and started playing shots, then obviously Pakistan picked up.
Yeah, I think there was a comment from the commentators there. I'm not sure if it was McMillan or Richardson saying something about, you got to show when Rizwan was batting there with the partnership that, they're showing good intent in their batting, whereas earlier maybe we didn't see that intent.
Look, Ross Taylor and Ken Williamson sort of ate up balls as well early on, but they went on to score big, it's not like, they've scored 100, 20 runs of 200 or 120 balls or 100 balls or whatever. So, I guess use in the first, obviously, it's a survival. Then you sort of look for singles, and then you put away bad balls. So there's a progression. But it looked like Pakistan missed out. I wouldn't believe that in 60 overs they haven't bowled many boundary balls, or many balls that you can take a single on, or you can put them away.
Yeah, it's Do you think they were caught up in how were they? Two things. Did they already have a set way of, this is New Zealand, this is how we're going to play, this is our template? Or did they see what Kane and Ross did and they thought, okay, that's the way to do it, let's try and do that, but got caught up in this survival mindset and forgot to score runs?
It could possibly be. I'm not sure. Obviously, Yunus Khan is the coach, and he was someone who was like, he wasn't the fastest scorer, like, but he knew how to get off strike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he knew how to get off strike. So he was not necessarily the best sort of fastest scoring test batsman, but he knew when to take those quick singles or when to hit the gaps, or when to go over the top if needed. So I'm not too sure. It probably they tried to use the sort of the obviously New Zealand template, but they went on to score big. The two batsmen who did eat up balls early on went on to score big. So
yeah. Now I wonder if the next innings they come out here. What's that?
Sorry, Darren. Hey, I was just going to say, where do you think we see the test match going from here? Obviously, New Zealand come out tomorrow morning to bat again. What are we, day 3 today, weren't we? So with 2 days left, what do you think will be New Zealand's sort of intent tomorrow morning as far as scoring quick runs, or play yourself in and then try and score some run in the session and a half and then put Pakistan back in again?
Yeah, I think my guess would be they would want to get another 150. That's day 4, right? So they'd want to get 150, give them about 350 odd to chase, or 300 something to chase. I'd like 350 just to be a little bit, and then have a crack at them half an hour before tea, and give themselves 4 sessions to bowl them out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you need at least 4 sessions, because with Wagner's toe, I don't know, he may or may not bowl in the second innings, if, depending on how bad it is. There's fractured. I don't know if he will carry on bowling, So, and Satner, obviously, again, like, he might be needed to bowl more, and we'll see how he goes. But I think personally, I think you need 4 sessions.
Yeah, I think a draw is on the cards. If I was a betting man, I'd put a draw. I'd put money down for a draw, because, I mean, that's me giving Pakistan a lot of credit. But that's the second new ball, I think, will become big, because you have your first half an hour. You break it down. It's half an hour. You need to get through the tea, and then you force Satner to come in and bowl a lot of overs and say, look, let your spinner win you the game by not getting wickets. Now is the time to go defensive. Actually, don't try and chase the game.
Yeah. And do you think Satner's the guy who's going to bowl the team out?
He's good enough to, and if he's ever going to do it anywhere, it's probably over there, because he plays a lot of his cricket there, right? But if Pakistan play out the overs, there'd be a strong chance of winning the test.
Yeah, I guess I think Pakistan has to have a sniff to go for the runs. So if they give them target more than 350, it just changes the direction the game is going on, and then you're right. If Pakistan sort of try to play a draw, or if they've got 4 sessions to defend, to bat through, I mean, if they're not going for runs, I mean, I guess there's a chance they can actually play out. But I mean, realistically speaking, I mean, I think the game should be over before tea, or before tea on day 5.
Oh, really? You're not backing them at all?
I am. What I'm trying to say is, how they batted in the first innings, based on that. I mean, you need someone because I think Fawad Alam would be playing for his place. He's only one in the batting order I can think of that probably will be dropped for next test match if he doesn't do well. So you never know, he might pull. I mean, he's scored enough first class runs. He's the one who's probably got his most experienced first class figure in the lot. So you never know. He in the middle order, he sort of does something special. Azhar Ali sort of warms up and sort of gets better as the series progresses, but it's only a 2 test match series. So
after the series is lost.
So,
sorry, T. I was just alluding to whether to me, I wasn't 100% certain whether Satner was the spinner to have in the team. To me,
AJ is injured, right?
No, he's
playing for CD.
I think he's not match fit. When this game started, he didn't have any games under his belt. Yeah, that's right. I think he wasn't match fit. He wasn't test match fit. I think that's how I read it in the media.
Yeah.
He's fit, he's playing, but he needed game time.
So he probably
He looked
lack of game
pretty
time.
good against
Yeah.
the CD last night, bowling his 4 overs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But again, it's
But
4
yeah.
overs though. Like it's like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
34
I
overs in a
understand.
day.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
and you're
just
bowling darts, and you're just bowling darts, so it's fine. You don't need to be doing much. But yeah, look, I think, and similar to Fawad Alam, Satna, not that it's his last saloon or anything, but he'd also want to make a point if he's interested in Test cricket that he'd also have to justify his inclusion to vie for that spot because
Yeah.
there's AJS comes back. I don't know if we don't have any more Test cricket after the second Test, but yeah, they
True,
need.
true.
Yeah, Bangladesh is 1 day, Australia's 1 day, so there's no Test cricket left.
Yeah.
So if he wants to be on those second spinner positions, I think he needs to. It's a good opportunity for him as well to try and win a Test match.
What about I'll go back to the batting just quickly. Opening position for New Zealand. I think obviously Latham's secure, but the other spot, does Blundell justify his position as the opener? Albeit he is a makeshift opener.
What do you reckon, Tess?
Yeah, well, I guess it was never looked like a long term thing, but they stuck to him. I mean, Australia obviously he looks good on the back foot and he plays his shots and everything, which is good, but he's not an out and out opener. So you've got I don't know. I mean, the CD captain, what's his name?
Well, yeah.
Will Young, and I think he was in the mix. And but I mean, is Latham okay to keep? I mean, that's another thing. If Blundell sort of doesn't play, who will keep? He's not keeping. So he's keeping. So I think that's a pretty straightforward thing, and they probably. I was surprised because Pakistan does these things. If for makeshift guys does something, they stick to him. But I was surprised that New Zealand has done it. I'm sure the selectors would have seen something which obviously we haven't, But I personally think I didn't think it was a long-term thing. I thought it was just a one-off or maybe 2-3 Test matches and that's it. But they're giving him enough opportunities. So
yeah, there's you get the sense that they are quite loyal to the people that show loyalty. So they do kind of support and nurture from within. And the fact that he done something, I think there's that you get that extended leash, and it seems like it's quite a well-run setup, and there's a lot of respect, and the people get looked after really well once you get into the system.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's anyone standing out that's calling out for that spot. The way I see it, I think BJ Watling retires, Tom Blundell will come back into the Test side and take up number 7. He's almost getting in a very strategic way. What they're doing here is they've got the allowance to give Blundell the exposure at the top. He gets used to the new ball. When he comes back into the side when Watling retires, he's facing the second new ball anyway.
That's true.
He's got Test experience, so he's actually it falls in nicely in a long-term plan. And then Conway is the other option. He'll come in and take the gloves and he'll probably push everyone out. If Rachin Ravindra come through and Will Young come through, Rachin Ravindra then becomes your left-arm spinner, opening bat who bowls a bit of spin. Devon Conway could take the gloves potentially, and then it allows for you to play Will Young. So they've got a lot of options now.
But the thing is, Tom is 30, isn't he? So I mean, I guess if you're doing that to a younger player, I could see that. Say someone like Glenn Phillips who can keep, or sort of. But I mean, I was surprised that they're showing that much faith opening the batting. I think he did a great job, and he scored 100 batting at 7 or 6 or 7 down the order in one of the Test matches early on. I think on debut,
opened, didn't he?
And on debut he scored 100. Latham's, not Latham, sorry. Blundell scored 100 batting at 7, I think, or 7, I think. So
I thought it was opening. Sorry.
He scored a century against Aussie opening when he came.
That's against Australia. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Before that.
That is the first one.
That is his first. That was his first 100. Sorry, that was
Okay.
That's his only 100.
No, he's
There's
got
no
200.
other. Yeah.
He's got 200s.
Was he?
Oh, he's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
one against West Indies. Sorry, he's got one against West Indies.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Yes, that's on debut.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, that wasn't on the. Yeah,
And that was
that's on
down the
debut.
order, right?
Yeah, that's on debut against West Indies. Yes.
And that was
Oh,
down
was
the
it?
order, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably came in from DJ as
Yeah, but
backup.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I guess there would be some strategic sort of thing behind it, as Taryn said, that even if he bats at number 7, he probably will be facing the second new ball. So they're kind of giving him. But I mean, like, opening is quite an important position, though. Like,
Yeah.
you don't experiment like that position for too long. But
Oh, good. Yeah, look, hey, just as I say, just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Hey,
but I mean, going back, just finishing up on that Pakistan thing, I think Pakistan could almost learn a lesson from the way Sri Lanka approached their innings. They look to score runs,
yes,
and they've got overseas success in South Africa. Like, I looked at the score overnight and I thought, holy hell, like, they've done really well here to get to 340 odd in a day against South Africa. Yes, it's not the same South Africa we know, but that still takes a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
And I think that attitude and the mindset is probably missing at the moment with Pakistan. But like, that's the other test match going on. I was quite impressed. They're obviously injured, a lot of injuries. It'll probably be a tough test for Sri Lanka from here on in.
Yeah.
But again, that's turning into quite a nice test match.
Yeah, you guys want to just, there's a good segue. You just want to carry on into that because that's what I was about to bring up. I haven't seen any of it, so.
I've just been following the scores and stuff. Obviously, they've got 2 injuries, but the fact that there was 340 runs scored on day 1 and then another 380 on day 2 goes to show real intent from Sri Lanka, but with the bat, but also how thin that they are now with the ball. They've lost to Seema as well.
Okay.
And I think all up, they probably have a handful of test caps between them of what's left on the bowling unit anyway. So I think it'll be a tough yak for them. Did you see anything?
I didn't. I mean, obviously, timing is not great for us,
Yeah.
for these test matches. But I mean, I guess like the tracks, from what I saw, the tracks were like, so obviously good pace in it, and you have more scoring options on a quicker track, I guess.
Yeah.
So just to give a quick run as to what the situation is. So Sri Lanka scored 396 in their first innings with De Silva retired hurt, who was batting at number 5 in the order, and then we lost Kasun Rajitha after 2.1 overs. Again, the bowling injury there, and South Africa 317 for 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that'll be interesting to see what happens in that test match as well, won't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes when you if the track plays that well on day 1, sometimes it gets but it looks like it's gonna go to day 4, day 5 at least. So I mean, you don't know what a good track is like 4 days later. I don't know, but I mean, if it's a fast scoring track now, we'll see how it sort of holds up. It might on day 5, it might favor the Sri Lankans again, sort of South Africa.
Yeah, they don't have Herat anymore. Even if they take the game into day 5, they don't have the little man.
Yeah.
No,
he's
they've
not
got the league spinner. Again, they've picked him out of the Sri Lankan Premier League, LPL.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, a lot of countries are doing that. They're going from LPL straight into the national side. But I think and you could argue India started the trend by IPL and then into the Indian reckoning. But India's got quite a established A program. So from the IPL, you go into a India A, then they kind of see where you stack up, and then you get pushed in. But here, these other countries don't have an A program, so they're going straight from the Premier League status straight
I'll put
to
it that way, they don't have the funds for A programs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be more correct, I'd say. Definitely. They don't have a Mr. Rahul Dravid looking after the A program and telling the board what he wants.
Yeah, not a bad guy to have running your high performance program.
No,
that's true. Hey guys, let's move on to the local scene here, where we've had our T20 competition kick off, and we've had 2 rounds. And seems like Wellington look pretty strong from the games that I've seen, and unfortunately, from where we reside, and the Aces, gee, they seem to be really struggling this season, don't they? In all formats, as far as I can see, there's something not quite right with them and the talent they've got and everything. But yeah, did you had a chance to pick up any of the T20 so far?
I didn't watch any, but I've been watching the scores only. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't watch any cricket other than the international stuff or Test cricket. But I've been watching the scores. I think India is just light. Auckland,
Yeah.
sorry,
Auckland.
it's just light.
Yeah.
And I saw a photo the other day. I'll tell you who they are: Danaru Ferns, Ollie Pringle, Will O'Donnell, and Brad Rodden, plus one other person, all debuted the other day.
There's Ryan Harris as well.
Ryan Harris, that's it. There you go. There's 5 guys debuting in T20 cricket. That's massive.
Isn't it interesting? Because I was watching the Firebirds and the Aces T20 game, and we had a couple of commentators there having a real dig at the Auckland selectors and that, especially because opening for Wellington was a young gent by the name of Finn Allen, who was smashing the ball to all parts of the ground. And the comments were, well, if you're going to pick guys who are young, you've got to show them some faith and you've got to stick with them. And, obviously the comments coming back was from the commentators was that obviously Finn Allen feels very comfortable in the Firebirds team. They've made him feel like he's at home and told him, you're here for the long term, you just go out and play your game. And, it was a real dig coming in at the Auckland scene.
Who were the commentators?
I was just trying to remember what I was saying.
Grant Elliott?
Craig, I think Grant Elliott was, and Craig Cumming was the other one. And obviously, there was a lady. I'm not think Frankie.
Don't worry.
But Cumming.
I guess in defense, what you would say is like Auckland is so big. I mean, you should give them 2 teams. What happens is like Jimmy Neesham, heaps of guys who kind of like Taran obviously went to CD because, or like other guys who move on to other associations, because in Auckland, like, you don't, it's not like we've got like a lot of talent, but the thing is we've got a lot of players, and I think it makes it quite sort of like, say it's like Otago, right? So a lot of guys from Auckland or other cities or other towns sort of settled in Otago or go to smaller associations. Wellington seems to be obviously it's the capital, but it's a reasonable sized city, so it's not like there are heaps of players sort of knocking the doors. I'm not too sure. I don't know if it's too many players or too much cricket here in Auckland. Taran?
Look, I think I've got to be careful what I say, but it's 5 debutants also in one game. I'd like, as a supporter of Auckland cricket, I'd like to know why the need. What happened that there's a lot of people there, the high performance and planning and selectors, etc. How did Auckland Aces as a team or an organization get themselves into a situation where they needed to hand out 5 debuts? A, planning gone wrong. B, is it pure arrogance that you're no longer focused on winning, you're just developing players? Because you've let go of 2 of your most successful senior players in the winter, which was Mitchell McClanahan and Ronnie Hero. So you've kind of put yourself into a bit of a hole by letting go of some experience to want to develop players. I don't know, what is the purpose of this team? Is your flagship team there to win, consistently win, or is it developing players first to the Black Caps and that's what you're judged on? Is this just a glorified high performance program?
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
so
like they've
the-
obviously lost Colin Munro to Big Bash.
Yeah,
And not sure what's happening with Guptill.
he's injured,
So
I think.
he's injured.
He's
Okay.
injured. Is his thumb still?
Yeah, I
Was
think
it
he's got a
some of-
slight niggle. Yeah, so they're light on that front. But
Yes.
Munro was, when his Black Caps things dried up, he was always going to go to greener pastures, right? He was going to play some
Yeah.
high quality cricket elsewhere. Because
Fair
he's a
call.
world
And
class
obviously we lost G to ND end of last
Yeah,
season.
and you got
Jeet
Mitch
obviously is
player.
very
Why?
McClenaghan.
So my question is why?
Yeah.
Exactly,
And you got
yeah.
Mitch McClenaghan bowling for Otago today against us.
So this is the question again. You let go of Ajit Raval, but you hand out a debut to, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what my argument is going to be here. You hand out a debut to a gentleman who is 32 years of age, Brad Rodden. He's played 6 T20s. He's obviously played for Otago, and Otago is not the toughest team
To get in, yeah.
to get in.
Local.
Yeah, as a local, and he's moved up here. Don't get me wrong, lovely guy and all that, but you let go of a current Test opener at the time, or he's felt that he needed to move on to other teams, and yet you're handing out debuts. Like, hang on, are you developing youth? Because you've told Ronnie Hero, who's 33, 34, I think, that he's no longer needed, but you're picking 32-year-olds. Which one is it?
Yeah.
You know, what is it? Because if you want to develop youth, then there's Aditya Ashok, who's 18, 19, now named in the New Zealand selection 11, I believe, against Pakistan. So there's guys there. Pick them. If you hand out a contract to a 28-year-old who's not played any cricket. So which one is it? That's where I'm a little bit confused as to what their direction is. So I wasn't very careful with what I was saying there, I suppose. Gone off and said what I really thought.
Hey, and that's yeah. It's good to have those opinions because obviously we are being from the Auckland region, we are Aces fans. We want to support the Aces, but when you
I
see,
just don't know. Yeah,
when you see these things happening, you sort of question. You obviously you carry on backing the team no matter what the result, but it just as I say, and then you hear commentators on this and their ex-players, and Grant Elliott. I guess I've listened to his his comments and that, and he seemed to say some good stuff in there. Craig Cumming, but it's interesting, isn't it? It was openly a big dig, and I think the other grandchild was sitting next to me at home here. He was here, and we were both looked at each other and said, "Are they having a dig at Auckland?"
but it's it's tricky because I'm sure the coaches had a plan for Finn Allen, which he didn't think was correct for him.
Yeah,
and I'm sure the coaches had a plan for him, wanting to get him set up. So it's not. I don't think anybody's surprised Finn Allen is playing the way he is, and I think Finn Allen would have played just as well in Auckland because he didn't have a great start to the season. You got to understand, I think he started off with a handful of ducks.
Yeah.
In the red ball competition, so he's only just coming into his own.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that he's playing well, but yeah, I'm sure there was a plan for him. It's a big loss because you invested in him, or he's one of your own homegrown players, and he's gone off. Kyle Jamieson, not really your homegrown player because he's a Canterbury product. And he's helped you ride the 4-day stuff. He's won you a few games on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, I think overall, if you finish off on Auckland, I think they are injury stricken at the moment. Lockheed's and the Martins are away, so the frontline cream's gone. Some of the guys have moved on, so it's a big transition, rebuilding phase.
Yeah, I guess I was assistant coach for Auckland under-19s 2015, 16.
Yeah.
So from that lot, I think the left armour from Takapuna, he's in the mix. He's playing a few games. But I'm like Aniket Parikh. Good example. I thought he would he's someone you would probably invest in. He's still 22, 23, but he just lost a contract after one season. So I guess like from that lot, I think Glenn Phillips was always going to go up. So, with his exception, there are not that many players who went on to play a lot of A games and then obviously through the ACES setup. So, I mean, as Taryn said, like you're like the new guys who are coming in their late 20s or early 30s, which is, to my surprise, is probably not an investment, because it could be short-term thing. But I mean, you definitely, if you want to give opportunities or if you want to develop players, it's got to be guys in early 20s,
Yeah.
But if it's a short-term thing, then why wouldn't you hold on to your international class with Mitchie and Ronnie's?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's where I'm sure, and I'm no doubt there's a lot more backstory to it that us don't, we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know. But yeah, it's baffling when you let go of such high quality players, but yet you're picking older players. So yeah, but good on them for getting the opportunity. Though,
yeah. Hey, just obviously I was able to bring up last week. I'm going to go local a little bit, and we're running out of time. Are we, Paul?
Or just very quickly, we're not here having a go at the players. Hey, if me at 46, if I got the opportunity, hell, I'd grab it and go for it. But it's you say it's the selections and things, and it's something you see in rugby as well. It's the big city Auckland is again. I have to go play for X club to be picked for the Auckland rugby side, and people are like, well, hang on, why is that and that kind of situation? So there are always claims of too many players to find the good ones. It's too much noise. You're like, well,
Auckland though I do think needs a next T20 team. Not needs it, but I think they could do with a second T20 side.
Yeah, I mean, Simon says the North Harbour Northland franchise, for example.
Yeah.
I think there's a program in itself about how, and I think we've had that discussion, Taryn, about what we think how a T20 or how the Super Smash should be a proper franchise teams rather than the district teams. But that could be a show in itself, couldn't it? I think that discussion.
Yeah.
We should also round up the women's games as well, because again they've had those rounds. So the Wellington Firebirds, the Wellington Blaze beat the Auckland Hearts comfortably, and then went on to beat the Central Hinds comfortably as well by 9 wickets in both those games. So they are looking like the team to beat early doors. The Auckland Hearts came back to beat the Otago Sparks today, 156 for 3, bowling the Otago Sparks out for 119, so a 37-run win there. But the Wellington Blaze looking pretty formidable early doors on the women's side.
Yeah, look, I caught a little bit of the Hearts and the Wellington Blades game before the men's game and that Wellington Blades team looked really impressive, and that I think they virtually look like a sort of a class above most of those other teams. But let's see what obviously comes through the season. But yeah,
I think Canterbury Magicians. I mean, they bought bats off me, so I must mention them.
Yeah.
Like
the franchise or the players?
No, the bats actually. 4 girls.
The franchise by the player bats.
Yeah, they bought bats. Yeah, 4 of them. So I must mention them. I think they've got like experienced players there. Obviously Frankie plays, and then Kate Abraham. So they've got. I think they will be up for it against Wellington when it comes. I think they're playing CD first up, and then so I think that's another good team to watch.
They're in action tomorrow morning tomorrow afternoon from 12:30 against Otago Sparks down in Alexandra, folks. So if you want to get down to Molyneux Park for that game and see some Taz bats in action
flying around. No, I think the teams to beat is Wellington, Canterbury, and then Auckland. Well, Auckland as well, but Wellington, Canterbury are the 2 big teams with Auckland. And Auckland's obviously had a bit of a dip in form this year, or hasn't started off as well as they'd like. Yeah, these guys I think have more experience. Like your what's her Sophie Devine, man. She's going to carry that side.
Mm.
And then you've got a couple of older girls in Canterbury as well that probably carry that side. I'm not so sure if Auckland has it. I wanted to mention that young girl who's 14-year-old who got a 100 or a 5. Yeah, Chandler.
From Wellington, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chandler.
Yeah.
On debut, I'm pretty sure she got a 5 for 8 heads.
Yes, yeah. I didn't watch any of the highlights or any of the wickets, but I read about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if her dad was the opening batsman who used to bat for. There was a gentleman called Chandler in the late 90s, early 2000s, left-handed opener. I want to say Phil Chandler, but maybe I'm thinking of the guy from Friends. But I know there was a Chandler who opened the batting for Wellington.
Oh, could possibly.
I wonder.
Be.
Yeah, it could be his daughter, like the ages add up.
Yeah, and the city as well, the same. So.
Yeah. It'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool if it is his daughter or a relation.
Are you sure you've got the name right?
Chandler. Yeah.
Chandler, okay.
Because I can't see her on the scorecards for either of the Wellington games so far.
Oh, she definitely played recently.
Yeah.
It's on the NZTV.
You're not thinking the under what's the tournament that they've been playing recently? Is it the under 17s or?
Nah.
There's an under 19s tournament going on as well. Women's under 19s.
Nah, it's not that.
No, okay.
It wouldn't make cricket good.
Yeah, be quite. I don't know with Taryn or Taz whether you guys got maybe a couple of connections where maybe we can get a couple of the girls onto the show, and that or maybe Paul can can do an interview, because that'd be quite good to get a different perspective, obviously. And
Taz, get the Taz deal. Use
Taz
one of those.
deal on there for us.
I can ask. I can't guarantee though.
No, yeah. No, that's all.
I can ask.
Yeah.
Because I think the Canterbury is coming up next weekend, or on the 3rd. I think so. I'm catching up with them when they're here, so I can ask and we'll see.
There we go. That's cool. So, all right. So there's obviously a lot. We're in the thick of the cricket season. I think before Paul came in, I was just going to allude, since we've got both of you gentlemen on today, I was going to talk locally about a bit of T20 club cricket there. And obviously we've got a Christmas break at the moment, but just before we went into the break, certain club that we're associated with has been standing out in the performances out in there in the field there, and obviously both of you gentlemen are involved in that, and obviously contributing to those results that have come through. Great to see. It's been a good competition, that club T20 cricket competition, guys. How competitive is it? We've seen some aces in there, from the different clubs or in that.
What do you reckon, Taz? How do you?
Oh, look, Taryn he's been obviously doing well and playing all the games. I think I missed one of them, so it's quite intense. The games were well fought. For the games we've seen, or we were playing on number 2, so the teams which are playing number 1. All the games we played last weekend looked close, right, Taryn?
Yeah. Like they all went into the last over, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like Michael Barry, who's a former Aces player, defended 7 in the last over against East Coast Bays.
Yeah.
So they went to the last over. We went into the 19th over. Then the same in the previous rounds as well. We won in the last over, and same with Takapuna won in the last over. So
that's over.
Yeah, I think it's a really good competition, and it's quite evenly fought. Like everyone's beaten everyone, so it's quite an open competition. Someone like Ronnie Hira is still playing in it. So it'll be interesting. I know the Aces probably go into a bit of a break after the 3rd of Jan, so there is a window there that a lot of the Aces might play in the last rounds, if possible. So you could see, it could be quite an interesting competition. Like, obviously, great for us that we've managed to upset a couple of people, which probably opens up our competition furthermore, our pool anyway.
Yeah, so it's obviously going into the Christmas break, the pool we're in, I can't. Sorry, when I say we, QMU is in. QMU leads that pool, which is isn't that terrific to be in that position. And hopefully, we can continue to form on into the second half of the season. But it's definitely worthwhile, those people that are, listening in to us or viewing us here on the interweb, to go down to your local cricket grounds and that, because you're going to see some really good T20 competition out there. And I think it's kicks off back on the 6th of Jan, doesn't it? Is it? Or
Yes.
Yes, 6th of Jan, the first game.
This evening game, 5:30 start.
Yeah. So that's a Wednesday 5:30, and then I think the same
Double-header that weekend.
On the Sunday. There's a double header as well, isn't there?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go find buy some Voltarans and some Celerex and a few painkillers for that weekend, Ted.
Yeah.
So if any of our viewers out there happen to be physios and that, you might be worthwhile going down to your
definitely to our game for sure.
Volunteer your time, though. Please volunteer your time for the community.
Yeah. Good thing to volunteer for the community, as Darren
If your
said.
doctor is willing to write a script as well for some votes for some old players.
So what about some up and coming guys in there? Have you sort of come across anyone standing out up and coming in there? Obviously, we've got Aditya that I know of as far as the spinners go and that. But anyone else sort of standing out, guys?
I think the youngest standout is probably from our team. It's easy for us to say, but the opening bowler from our team is a young Jay Patel, who's 17 years of age, is all of 5'4" or 5 in height. And he's been I think he's in the top 3 wicket takers in the Premier T20 competition, somehow overlooked for the Auckland under-19s. So, baffles me, but he's 100% been the key, one of the main reasons why we've had such a good, consistent competitive campaign with the ball. So he's probably been a big standout. Other than that, I haven't seen many other standout players like Jones from Takapuna, Matt Jones. He does really well consistently. He's been good. Birkenhead, they've been consistently good as well. I think they've beaten quite a few teams.
Yes, they have. They've lost one game, so same as us, but they've lost to suburbs, and they beat the other team. So I mean, they're a surprise package. I mean, I guess like we were a surprise package, but yeah, them doing so well is it's. I think the bottom of the table is Waitakere.
Yeah.
So they haven't won a game, and then North Shore, and then Hibiscus. So it's a well fought pool. Ours is, anyways.
Yeah, and the other one's quite a open pool. I think you'll probably have Ellerslie fizzle out, and then you'll have everyone else having the ability to beat each other.
Yeah,
I think Cornwall's quite weak in the T20 formats.
Okay.
Yeah, Eden Roscoe will make a bit of noise. Yeah, but no, it's a good comp, and I think it's credit to Auckland Cricket. They could potentially put that double header weekend a week earlier so people can have Christmas parties as well, though. So I think they need to factor that in. It is a big financial thing for the clubs to bring all the club together and actually celebrate the season, which you couldn't do because your Premier and the reserve teams were playing T20 cricket. So it was tough. I know a lot of clubs weren't happy with that scheduling side. But other than that, it's been a good comp.
That's good. Yeah. So, Paul, I think we've pretty much discussed a lot of stuff there, and that we're getting to the end of this.
Paul,
you're on mute. You're on mute.
Also, I got down to Parnell versus Grafton the other weekend and did some post-match interviews from their T20. We'll try and get around a few more of those club games and get some more interviews done for the Auckland Cricket Comp as well. It was had a cracking day there, lovely evening. Wednesday evening in the sunshine, watching a game of T20. It's a fantastic way to spend your Wednesday evening. Thank you very much, Arun.
No problem.
And
Sure, I just need to, before you shut down, I need to retract my statement. Cornwall's won 3 out of 4 games in their pool, so they're not weak in the competition.
I didn't want to say anything because I thought maybe I was right up to date on those scores, but I saw Cornwall had won.
I think in previous years, previous years they haven't really prioritized it, but they're doing really well. Papatoi's at the top in that one as well.
Yeah,
so having thought you have a little shot one of the bigger clubs in Auckland, in Cornwall Park, because they've got one of the bigger Facebook pages at least anyway. So I'll be definitely getting on down there. Always good for a good share is a big Facebook page. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next Monday, obviously, with the results from those test matches. A whole host more Super Smash going on both the men's and women's side. So join us at 8 p.m. on Monday for the swinging from the hip.